Welcome to episode 3 of How to Be Catholic at Home. This episode is entitled Morning Prayer. So, after we have hopefully gotten a good night's sleep, God willing, we're ready to start off a new day offering up to God. My first suggestion in how to get the morning off to a good start is to use a real alarm clock. Be the old-fashioned one with bells if you have one of those. Those are kind of cool. Just an old digital clock radio or whatever. It's so tempting and so convenient in so many ways to use a smartphone for an alarm clock. But if you're like me, then sometimes my temptation is to grab that phone and maybe even before I'm out of bed to look at social media, look at the news, get all fired up about something. And it just makes that whole getting up process sometimes slower than it really needs to be or should be. So I keep my phone, on top of my dresser. I have to actually get out of bed to get up and turn the alarm off in addition to my real alarm clock. But to not have the phone right next to your bed or just to use a real alarm clock. Just like my suggestion for having a sacred image in your room for your night prayers, obviously one of the great things that you can do is to immediately after you wake up to turn your attention to a sacred image in your room, to the crucifix, to an image of the Blessed Mother or the angels or saints. And you can even have a little prayer that you say, just one little way, the first thought in your mind after oh boy, there's my alarm, is to offer today to the Lord. And it can be just whatever you want that to be. But maybe if you have a crucifix or a cross in your room, you can just look at that image of Jesus and just say, Jesus, today is yours. Or Jesus, today belongs to you. Whatever it is, whatever works for you, just, as soon as you open your eyes to set the day off to a good start in that way. There is a great tradition called having a morning offering. There are so many different versions of this. You can just Google around and find one that works. I'm going to put up the text of a common one. But if that one doesn't work for you, if you find one that's better, then just print it off. Have it next to your bed. You put it on top of your dresser. Tape it onto the mirror in your bathroom. So you go into the bathroom, you're getting ready to wash your face, brush your teeth. Right there is maybe a holy card and the morning offering that you can say. It's just make it part of your morning routine. As always, a pitch for the Liturgy of the Hours, which are those set prayers, and I'll have a link posted where you can find those if you don't want to or not able to yet buy physical books and you're interested in that. So here is a text for a morning offering. I'm not going to read through the whole thing, so feel free to just pause the video if you would like that. It's pretty easy to find online if you just Google Catholic morning offering. Part of the Liturgy of the Hours, but something that you can also just do standalone on your own, is to pray what's called an invitatory psalm. So this is just a psalm that is a great and traditional first prayer of the morning to offer to God. Again, I'm not going to read through the whole thing there. It's a little bit longer than that morning offering, so it is 2 pages. Here is the first page. And the second page of that, if you would like to pause and get that. It's the translation of Psalm 95 from the Liturgy of the Hours. It's just a beautiful psalm, a great way to start the day. Another great psalm to use for an invitatory psalm is Psalm 100. So feel free to look that up. It's even shorter than Psalm 95. So we've gotten up, we're out of bed, we have set our eyes on a sacred image, maybe said that beginning, giving the day over to God, made some kind of a morning offering, or invited the Lord into our day by perhaps reciting a psalm. A great thing to sit down and do if you have those minutes in the morning, which I know may or may not be the case ever or on any particular morning. But if morning time is a time that you have for some more prayer, then it's a wonderful thing to be in the habit of saying the daily readings, the readings that are going to be used at Mass that day. It's great to have a physical book because then you don't have to worry about any screens. You're looking for something called a daily missal or a daily Roman missal. If you want suggestions, just email me or ask me after Mass, and I'll tell you which ones I think are good or which ones I suggest. There are subscription services like Our Daily Bread or the Magnificat that will send these beautiful disposable selections of prayers and readings to you that you can use during this time. Or if you're looking for the readings or the whole Liturgy of the Hours online, the usccb.org, our Bishops' Conference website, has the daily readings on a very convenient link right there on their website, usccb.org. You can also find the readings and the whole Liturgy of the Hours online at ibreviary.org/en to make sure you're getting the English language page. And finally, just a couple of little hints, and to not take ourselves too seriously. I think humility is very important for trying to enter successfully into a prayer life. There's an old joke from religious life, from those who've taken vows and are in a religious order, that a novice asked his novice master, "Father, is it okay to smoke while I'm praying?" I'm not advocating for smoking, obviously. And the novice master says, "Well, no, you shouldn't smoke when you're supposed to be saying your prayers." And then he walks away, and one of his classmates just kind of shakes his head at him and says, "You should have asked, Father, if it was okay to pray while you're smoking." Okay, so what is the point of that joke? The point is that sometimes we can be tempted to make the perfect the enemy of the good, or our idea of prayer, what we think we should feel and look like while we're praying, the enemy of actually saying our prayers. A prayer that's rushed in the middle of trying to get our act together in the morning, maybe with babies crying, maybe trying to think about the day. A prayer of "God, please help me" has infinitely more value than that beautiful candle light, sun shining, through the morning window idea of prayer that didn't actually happen. So a real prayer is infinitely more valuable than an ideal prayer that didn't come together. So is it somehow holier to sit quietly at a side table and to meditate in silence than to sit at your kitchen counter with a cup of coffee and the daily readings? I mean, maybe, but the reality is that if you're sitting there with the scriptures while you're drinking a cup of coffee, and that's something that will actually happen, that's fantastic. And maybe on some retreat someday, you can get to even quote unquote better version of prayer. But don't make the perfect the enemy of the good, and don't make the idea of prayer the enemy of an actual prayer that you can say during the day. So those are just some ideas for how you might get into a prayerful attitude in the morning, and I hope you may find some of those helpful.